have a little bit of an image. Okay.
Go.
You can start if you want to. Oh, what have I done?
Hello, work. Give it 3 seconds. Boom, 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 and boom. Go.
Right, so today, oh god, start again. 3, 2, 1. So for this podcast, we're going to be talking about a priority week that we did, and the priority week was called Play of the Day. And so to start the priority week, we found out about different forms of reading. So if I just read out the different forms that we found out about. So first off was cold read. So cold read is reading out loud from a script with no rehearsal, practice or study in advance. It is a technique used by actors and other performers in theatre, television and film performance fields. Cold reads are common in performance classes and furthermore are employed frequently in actor auditions to allow the producer or playwright to get a general idea of the actor's performing capabilities. They are also used by playwrights who need to hear their play read aloud for the first time by actors.
Is that the cold read that you?
That's the cold read.
So when we started this, we mainly just came into the room and it was cold read. We did a cold read. So how did you feel about actually doing this? Because this was like sort of the first time I was ever put in a position where I needed to be able to switch on just being in a room. Because you couldn't give more than who you were because you didn't have anything to work on.
You had no clue. So basically, we came into the rehearsal and the director gave us a selection of scripts and she said pick a colour. We picked a colour and I went first and I picked a play called Junk, and I literally picked it up, had to pick, then flick to a page, so someone called out a page.
So give an example, I had a play here, you just pick the colour black, so yeah, give me this.
Yeah.
Someone would say, page 94, you go to page 94, and then you would just read from the page, and how many characters were on the page is how many people would go up and actually do a cold read. So and you had how many time preparation time? 10 seconds, say, you're him, you're him, you're him, you're him, go.
Yeah, it was literally like how it is in an audition, go when you're ready. So go when you're ready. We then had to be like, right, I'll do this character, I'll do this character, this character, this character, this character, and then come on stage and perform. Basically, or read the scripts was more. It was more the.
It was more you, because
it wasn't so much about performing physically. It was more the
what you give.
What was being said.
Yeah, because we watched someone do it twice. It was more of an example for the director to sort of teach us So we had we had these 3 characters come on stage. 3 characters come on stage, and they did sort of the cold read. And when they did the cold read, we found out we found hints of the dynamic in their relationship.
Yeah.
And afterwards, they made them do it again. But what we did, we refigured everyone. So the hints and the levels in which the characters was. It was like sort of, we had the detective and we had the 2 people talking around him. So we had the main point. But when we started, we had the 2 people talking around them and the detective, and they wasn't the key person in the sort of holding the book. So we did find that.
I think that was another. Just going slightly quickly. That was another struggle with my scene. There was 5 of us, and it was 5 of us to one script, and where we hadn't read in advance, it was who had the least amount of lines, who had the most amount of lines. And it would have been helpful to give the person with the most amount of lines the book.
Script. Yeah, because it was just effective.
But going back to your 3 character example, first round, it was the movement was there was no movement. It was static. It was literally 3 actors in a line reciting what was happening. And as they read on, you found more information, and more information was released through the text. And it was watching them to see if they then picked up those traits that were being said about jobs and life. And I think at that moment in time, it was very apparent that we were just reading the words for the sake of reading the words. Nothing was really like, oh, this is what this means, and this is what this means. And that in that part was very
we had to find hints within moments.
Yeah.
Within 10 seconds, and you just can't do that.
No.
I think just a human being, we are flawed people, and just to do that was just a struggle.
I think because
general.
as it was our first time, well, for some of us it was first time to do a cold read. It was very apparent that what we were trying to do or trying to convey wasn't happening, and it wasn't apparent for us, but very much in audition circumstances, as I read from here, it's what
It's the process.
a playwright needs to see is go, here's my script, go. And after this, we'll come back to the other forms of reading, but after that day, a few days later, I actually went to an audition, and in the audition you had to do a cold read. And it was...
How was that for you then? How did you find it?
For me, I found it very beneficial and very useful that I'd had earlier in the week of what is a cold read. And it's always dependent on the directors and the playwrights. It's always like personal preference of what they prefer. But just getting a general of how you deal with these situations, and then picking up when a character said something, or this character's like, oh, this gives a bit more information about this character. So I could read it as my voice. So just see that, it's like a more of a feminine character, and she said like, I like this, this and this. And for me, I'm like, oh, that's more of a more a feminine character, not so much like a sort of, I think I would portray myself as quite a masculine female, but seeing that that's like a really like a feminine girly girl, if you will, sort of character.
You don't know what you're going into, do you?
Yeah.
You literally don't know. And then on that, what like you just said about you think you're a very, was it masculine? Did you say? Masculine. When you go to a cold read, you got to sort of know yourself, don't you? So just on a side note, what do you think you bring to the table as an example of? Well, I think I bring a very a feminine look, very sort of hair sort of done, sort of very sort of effeminate gesturing. Sort of I'm very skinny person, so I sort of work with that. So what naturally, what do you think you bring to a room?
To a room in like an audition. So
yeah, so as a cold read, because the main part of a cold read
for a cold read, I think for me what I'd bring is from that coming. So that was just apparent in the week, but actually finishing this priority week would be my knowledge of a cold read, and being able to present myself in a room, but knowing that
you don't have.
I'm not presenting when I'm performing. I shouldn't be myself necessarily. Like I shouldn't be myself. I should be able to pick up things and be like, oh, this is what's happening, and like if it's a situation that. I don't know how to word this, but I don't know, just say me and you are doing a cold read, put it like that, and we're unaware that it's a romantic scene, and it's just a conversation, and as we see it, more romantic, my relationship towards you would change.
Yeah, become closer, things will become more...
Or if it becomes apparent that like, my character fancies your character, I don't think I'd be so like this voice, like my voice, I think I'd be like quite like holding what I'm saying and just being a bit more dreamy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more...
But in that example, it might show how a cold read might be really beneficial in some way. Like if two people come into a cold read and they're naturally attracted to each other, it's naturally going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's more, there's no hints there. You might realise halfway through that you're actually talking to each other, but
I think not so much the attraction is something, but the chemistry of how they feel.
Yeah,
and I think we should hold that point and get onto that when we talk about the auditioning in I'm a Minger.
Yeah.
How that was apparent.
How that was apparent between different people,
yeah,
and how people's different perspective works.
Yeah.
So moving on to a sight read. A sight read, they give you more time to look at hints.
Yeah. So a sight read is similar to cold reading. However, there is previous preparation, and the preparation can be very brief, but it can be telling you about the characters and establishing to you. This could be a playwright telling you this, like what their relationships are, or like this is like lovers that have known each other for like a few years go. Like it could be very brief, but at least establishing relationships or where you are and
yes,
sort of how you feel.
The status, the character's journey, how they feel at the start, how they feel at the end, how they work off each other, how they do stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I think...
just to finish your, like,
yeah, what I was going to say from my notes is I'd put down that it's to say like, right, you two have been in a relationship for 3 years. You're quite shy as the male role, and as the female, you're I don't know. Just try and pick the. I'm trying to think of good examples, but like you're female, you're more dominant in this role, and in the current period of time that you're in, to be more dominant, the relationship is not viewed as well. But you want that masculinity, and you want to be more dominant than her, to prove to your friends that I'm just like everyone else, and go. And it's to see how the actor interprets the note, and how they put their own spin on the note, whilst to not misinterpret the note, take the note for what it is, because you want to put your own self on what you've just been told, but not to a point where you completely lose what the director said, go off on one. Like, you don't want to lose what the director said.
Keep it simple. Just keep
take
it as it is.
Take it as it is.
Yeah, take it. Sight reads are more. I'd say they're the more easier. They're essentially the
out
of all of it, really. Because if we move on to rehearse read, it's more for the writer more than anything. You've sort of already casted and stuff. You've sort of already got what you need. You sort of got the hints. You've given time. You've given sort of that pressure of just having that sort of a sight read. You could have 10, 15 minutes. Cold read, you have nothing.
Cold read, nothing. Sight read, a little time.
Rehearse read. Just it's.
A rehearse read. I think we will again get onto this later when we talk about Omaminga or even
back eye. Just doing the back eye Greek stuff.
The back eye. The back eye was a
Greek.
It was a cold. I don't know. Say it's a cold read.
It was. I can't remember the name for it, but we sat around in a group and we just read the entirety of the play.
But we had, apart from knowing that it was a Greek play by Euripides, and we'd gained knowledge about Greek theatre, but not so much specific to that play. I think what we did could class as a cold read, or because we found that knowledge.
We set up in a audition standard, and if we had set up as a cold read, what it did, we'd panel there, we'd go in, and then we'd sort of take as much knowledge as we can. I don't know as much about Greek theatre as I did.
Yeah.
Like I've said.
Actually, my knowledge before this week of Greek theatre
was non-existent. Yeah, I knew there was a chorus, and I knew there was theatres. I knew the very general.
I knew Greek theatre. I knew of amphitheatre.
But it was the techniques in
the techniques. I wouldn't say so much the playwrights. I wouldn't know as such. But going back, just to rehearse read. So a rehearse read typically more rehearsal than other reads. The readings are developed but still perform script. The reading is used to focus on the state and or the development of the script. So that is very much like a playwright seeing it, and it's rehearse read is still having in stage directions.
So
it's mapping it up.
You have a structure. You have a structure. You have something to work on. You have something in the room. Just
and it's going to be a little note that I had wrote, and I think for our first time doing cold read, it's very apparent that our movement was static, where we'd got so invested in the text and delivering the text.
Yeah.
But I did write a note for myself when doing any form of read, your physicality should be present, and I think that is to not just look like an actor.
That's just general acting.
Yeah,
that's a sort of a general. Have your physicality and have your voice in the room. Have everything about you in the room, because that's how you get better.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get better. What do you have to give when you're in the room?
Yeah.
What ails you? What stops you? What makes you different? What do you give off when you see you? As soon as you walk in through that door, they see you, they watch you, they know, they have an image of you. They know what they want. They know what they want. And if you're not giving it, then you're not playing your own strengths. Or if you do play for your own strengths, and they didn't think anything of you, and now they did. You're creating your own opportunities, aren't you? You're creating your own opportunities for.
I think on that's very good to go on to. So this was another. We just spoke quickly about where that led on throughout the day of how we got given a script, and then it was then reading those scripts quickly and spreading ourselves out in the room, picking a script quickly, having a minute to find information, picking a character and finding a minute about their age, where they're from, who their relationships are with.
Yeah, it was a really busy week.
It was quick, yeah,
it was really, really quick.
A lot was crammed in, and I think that is...
But we did it.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? We actually did it, which I'm proud of. You know?
Yeah. So what I was going to go about is monologue. So it was for us after the cold read, it was trying to find a text that was suited to you, and that will then go on to like the different text pieces like contemporary, period, and classical. But there was just a few, and this will again be on. I'll put this on my website of why a monologue should suit you, or how you make yourself suited. Not how you make yourself suited to a monologue. I think it's more apparent that the monologue suits you, because it's sort of finding. I won't go too much into detail because again this will be all up there, but it's it's how you adapt well to the monologue. So is your monologue in your playing age? Is it from your area? Because I think for me last year it was very I'd picked monologues and learnt the monologues, I'd say, but knowing
what you knew and that you know.
Knowing so much now that I do, I think what I brought to a drama school then was quite apparent that
I feel like I have to scrap my own.
After this day,
it made me feel like
a monologue that I'd had. So I had Janet's monologue from Five Kinds of Silence, and she was a 36-year-old woman, and I love the monologue, and I really do. And perhaps later in life I can play that monologue, or I can use that. But for my playing age, I'm talking about a woman that's like over 10 years older than me. It's a bit far-fetched that if I'm trying to be like, this is who I am, that I'm actually an 18-year-old trying to play a woman that's closer to 40.
Yeah.
When I haven't even lived that part of my life yet to know that, which you can act it, but it's having that genuine.
You'll be.
Compared to if I picked a contemporary monologue that was an 18-year-old or like a 17-year-old.
You'll be doing yourself a favour.
20s, like around that.
You're doing yourself a favour. Yeah.
Because I know I'm in that part of my life now, and I have that age. You feel it more in the same regard. The more genuinity is there present in the room.
And hindsight was a very. I think I can play a little bit younger than I actually am, so I could probably play for a 16, 15-year-old. And having that hindsight, looking back, I could probably be better. So I feel like I would play a better 18-year-old when I'm 20, because I've lived.
Yeah, no,
I lived. Yeah. I know what an 18-year-old.
I think with
feels.
We will get onto I'm a Minger, but that's the same thing for I'm a Minger when we read that. It's following the life of Katie, and Katie's a 14-year-old girl, and it's being able to reflect on us when we was 14 and seeing similarities and being like, right, this is a bit tongue in the cheek of someone taking the mick, but we completely agree on like how dramatic you can be at 14 and what you think is like the end of the world and what actually like the life ahead.
It gives you perspective. Like I'm in very much.
It gives you.
I'm very much on my stage in my life where I'm going into the real world very soon. I'm actually going, and I'm very scared of it. Maybe 2 years time from now, I'd be like, why was I worried?
Yeah.
And then that gives me something.